It's said a picture paints 1,000 words, but for Joe Biden, this portrait needed only 3. A dereliction of duty. That's how the Democratic presidential hopeful is describing Donald Trump's visit to a church near the White House. In a speech calling for police reform by Congress, Biden accused Trump of putting his ego above all.
When peaceful protesters dispersed in order for a president from the doorstep of the people's house, the White House, using tear gas and flash grenades in order to stage a photo op in one of the most historic churches in the country, or at least in Washington, D.C. We can be forgiven for believing the president is more interested in power than in principle.
Some say that's why President Trump has also threatened to declare Antifa as domestic terrorists. The loose alliance of left-leaning activists has often directly challenged the far-right and white supremacists. Other critics accuse Trump of now targeting Antifa to cover up the social, economic and racial reasons underneath this crisis.
It's not a unitary organization, right? It's a kind of politics. The groups are autonomous and they follow their own agendas. And moreover, in the United States, Antifa have never killed anyone. And the kind of broken windows that we've seen anti-fascists break over the recent years really pales in comparison to the scale of police murder. It's a very clear distraction, and it's like a talking point for the far right.
Donald Trump is not the first U.S. president to call out troops to quell domestic disturbances. Nearly 30 years ago, President Bush sent the army into Los Angeles to stem rioting after an all-white jury acquitted 4 white police officers of attacking black driver Rodney King. Tukumbo Salako, Euronews.
Well, with more on Senator Biden's speech and how the protests might have an impact on the presidential race, we're joined now by Dr. John Callahan, Dean of Graduate Studies at New England College in New Hampshire. Thank you very much for your time. How is Biden trying to take this as an opportunity to sort of politically capitalise on the unrest that's happened in the country? And do you think he's being effective in doing that?
I think that several ways to look at it. I think in the moment, sure, the messages have an impact on what's going on right now, but the election is still quite a ways away. And if you look at past elections, an awful lot can happen between now and November, and an awful lot will happen. So it's difficult to say. I mean, today, yes, it's an opportunity for a repose, if you will, and he took it, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Well, there's 5 months to go. We'll be watching closely. But Trump has taken a very hard-line approach to the protests. That's almost really an understatement because he's, as we've heard, threatened to deploy the military. What kind of political risks do you think he's taking, and are any of them paying off?
It's a good question, and I think the political risk is massive, but the risk would be massive whichever position he took. I mean, it's an election year, so if you sort of divorce the national crisis from it, and whatever he does this year and whatever any president would do right now this year would be capitalized on by the other side. So I think you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. However, getting back specifically to him, there's risk. You work to sort of be president, but you're still trying to fight this campaign and trying to draw the line between the two. It's difficult.
Well, one of the cornerstones of Trump's campaign was the strength of the economy. Now, of course, the global pandemic means it's been chaos in America, particularly in, major economic hubs like New York. What impact is the hit to the economy likely to have on his campaigning strategy and also his credibility when that was something he campaigned so fiercely on before?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's a big risk there for the election. And if the economy is continuing to tank by the fall, the prediction might be that presidents with bad economies generally don't get reelected.
Thank you very much for speaking to us and for your analysis. Dr. John Callahan, Dean of Graduate Studies at New England College in New Hampshire.